Hey there, book reading friends. It is the 27th of March as I record this. Or 27th of February as I record this. So we're getting near the end of the month, which means it's time to talk about my TBRs for the month of March. Now, I'm going a little lighter this month. I am still doing three, but two of them are for shorter periods of time, and none of them last the whole month. One of them doesn't even start until the 8th and runs through the 27th, and then the others are like a week long and 2 days long. So that's where we're starting. I am still taking part in some year-long things. The Constable Reading Challenge has one book a month for 9 months, and then they encourage you to get involved in some Latinx read-alongs or readathons in September and October. There's also a couple that are being hosted by some of my favorite booktubers. One is the Cosmere Along, which is focusing on reading all of the Brandon Sanderson Cosmere books, which is supposed to take us into early 2021. So we're kind of stretching that one out. And there's also, I heard about that one from Rachel Marie. And then I heard about the Elderling Along from Becca in the Books. And that, again, taking place over several months to get through the Robin Hobbs series of books. So we're just going to jump right in. The first readathon that I'm taking part in the month of March is called the Sherlockathon. I am a huge Sherlock Holmes fan. I've read everything Sir Arthur Conan Doyle ever wrote. I've seen all of the Robert Downey Jr. movies. I've seen the BBC series starring Benedict Cumberbatch probably 5 times all the way through. I've also watched Elementary. I'm just waiting for that new season to end up on Hulu so I can watch it. I love it when people play around, like the TV series Elementary. Moriarty's a woman, Watson's a woman, so they've changed up some things. I read a book last year entitled Arrowwood. The main character was a detective who absolutely hated Sherlock Holmes, lived and worked at the same time as him, but just despised Holmes. So, and I was drawn to the book because of the animosity towards Holmes from the main character. So there are just 6 prompts in this readathon. The first prompt calls for you to read a book that starts in the middle of an exciting event. I keep putting this one on my TBR and I keep having to go back and restart it because life gets in the way. Conscience, book 2 in the Bellator Saga by Cecilia London. The first book starts right in the middle of something big, and a lot of what led up to the something big is told in flashback. We get more of the same in book 2. When I read the first book, I actually just went and bought it because I discovered her because of some bookish nonsense going on Twitter during the month of December, and December was all about indie books for me. So I went and found her first book and read it. And when I finished the first book, I went and bought the rest of the series. I think there's 6 books in the series. It's intense. It's action-packed. It doesn't let up. And one of the reasons I struggled to get through this yet so far is because you spend the entire time you're reading it here. Like, you need respite. You need to walk away from it and read something light and fluffy and warm, fuzzy feeling, and because it's intense. The next prompt in the Sherlockathon calls for you to read a murder mystery. I'm working my way through the Patricia Cornwell series, Kay Scarpetta books. Cause of Death is the next one I need to read, and all of the Kay Scarpetta books are murder mysteries, so we're set. A morally gray main character. I won back at the end of the year something called the Blizzard of Books giveaway, and all of the books are motorcycle gang romances, motorcycle club romances. So automatically a morally gray character kind of situation, because that's just how the main love interest, who's the member of the motorcycle club, is always portrayed. Savage Stalker is one of the books that I won by Kathleen Kelly. And it involves a girl named Katerina who is an international musician. She's an international rock star. But there's an accident that gets in the way of her career, sends her running to the hills to try to get away from the public eye. Needless to say, it's a motorcycle club romance. So there's a motorcycle club president, I think, president of the Savage Angels, MC. His name is Dane. He has known Kat for a while. He's had his eye on her for a while. The problem is there's also a stalker who's got his eye on Kat. So while Dane has determined he's not going to give up until he lands her, there's this other guy who's got far worse intentions. Dynamic duo, a twosome. I'm stretching this one maybe just a little bit because the main character's love interest is a part of the story, not directly involved, but sort of, I think, a sounding board. I got this book at Oh, from Bookish First. I won this book to Arcus. So I need to. It's one of the reasons I'm trying to squeeze it in. It's one of my readathons because I need to get it read. Buried by Linda LaPlante. Sorry. Um, I'm intrigued, very intrigued by the premise. A couple have moved to London to start a new life together. He's a detective. He and his girlfriend have moved to London to start a new life together, and he gets drawn into an investigation that sort of throws his life into chaos. Um, a charred body is found on a burned down cottage. So it sounds from the description like he may get close to some ethical and moral lines to close his case to make sure he gets his man, as they say. Law enforcement. Again, I'm working my way through the John Sanford books as well, the Lucas Davenport series of books. And so for that, I will be reading Shadow Prey by John Sanford. I've read a lot of these already, but I wandered away for a while, and there's several of the new ones that I haven't read because I kind of want to go back and refresh my memory and then continue on through. This last prompt for the Sherlockathon is a book inspired by Sherlock Holmes. Now, if you've seen my book haul video, which hopefully, if the computer cooperates, goes up before this one, um, you'll know that I picked up some books from our friends at the library bookstore. We have a used bookstore located right on our library building, just outside the actual library, that has used books for sale. The library will get rid of their old unshelved books there. I've taken books in and donated them to be sold there. And this one, I haven't done a lot of shopping there until recently, and now I'll just kind of wander through and let whatever catches my eye catch my eye. This one, I was intrigued by the cover. Study in Silks by Emma Jane Holloway. Um, I was intrigued by the cover. And then I saw a blurb that made me go back and read the back of the book. And all I saw was Evelina Cooper, the niece of the great Sherlock Holmes, is poised to enjoy her first season in London society. Game over, I'm in. So inspired by Sherlock Holmes, the main character in this is a female private investigator who happens to be Holmes' niece. Now, steam barons are kings in this version of London. So this is kind of um, a steampunk setting for that era. They There's also a type of magic that allows you to run the machines more efficiently, and Emelina has it. So steampunk fantasy, Sherlock Holmes related. I'm so excited about this. I went and found the rest of the trilogy. It's called the Baskerville Affair series, and I went and found the rest of the trilogy, A Study in Darkness and A Study in Ashes, and own all three of them now. Thriftbooks.com enabled me to find the other two in the series. So I have the entire series now, and I cannot wait. It's a thick enough paperback. It's going to take me a minute to get through it, but I'm excited. So that's the Sherlockathon. That runs from March 8th to the 27th. Overlapping just a little bit with this one is the Zodiacathon Dark Moon Edition, which runs from March 19th to the 25th. I didn't do the last Zodiacathon. I knew it was happening, but I didn't find out about it in time to participate. I'm not necessarily somebody who puts a lot of stock in astrology, mostly because every description I've ever seen of my sign is not me at much at all. Um, but I love a good readathon, and I love to kind of dig into what others believe and why, and sort of see the ins and outs and the inner workings. Um, so apparently, in astrology, there is this dark moon sign that's a part of your makeup as well, and it has to do with a moon cycle that takes place, I think, every 100 years or something like that. So there are specific times, and now it's not like your regular astrological sign is kind of everybody born in any year between these dates is this sign. This one can vary. So people born on my same birthday won't necessarily have the same dark moon sign that I do, if I'm understanding the literature correctly. Now, the really nice thing is on their Twitter feed, they have a little, here's how to find your dark moon sign. Great, awesome, I'm in. So it's only a week. It's only the 19th to the 25th. It's like 6 days, 7 days. So there are 6 prompts, and the idea is if you can read fewer books to cover the 6, great. So I'm going to get all 6 covered in 2 books. The first prompt calls for you to read a book in verse. Now that is my sign specific. Every sign has a prompt that is different from all the other signs. So my dark moon sign is Gemini, and so for the Gemini, you're supposed to read a book that's written in verse. And the next prompt is to buddy read. I don't know a lot of other people, I don't know anybody else doing this readathon. So several people were on their Twitter feed just going, I need a buddy reader for this sign. Who's in? And a woman messaged me back and said, I'm down. I've got every prompt covered with these 2 books. You pick a book. And I said, well, let's read this one then. And when she told me she had a book picked for the book in verse, I was struggling with that one. So I was like, let's make that the book. So we're buddy reading this. This is my book in verse and my buddy read as well. Also hits on an issue that is something I've gotten very passionate about and worked very hard to educate myself about and advocate for and donate money to. The book is called Sold by Patricia McCormick. The subtitle says, Can She Ever Be Free? It's about a girl in Nepal sold into sexual slavery. So a very real life problem around the globe right now. And that will take care of the first 2 prompts. The last 4 prompts are all going to be taken care of by one book. On top of winning the Blizzard of Books giveaway, which is all the Motorcycle Club romances, I also won a package from the In December Reading Challenge hosted by Megan Tennant in December that came with a bunch of fantasy sci-fi books. And I've been looking for ways to sneak some of these into my TBRs, and I actually get to fit 2 of them in the month of March, and I'm super excited. So the next 4 prompts call for you to read a book with a black cover, to read a book with dark themes, to read a book with some scary content, and a morally great character. So The First Girl Child by Amy Harmon. I mean, this cover alone is really intriguing. A black cover. I think we got it covered. Most of it's black except for the flaming red sword, or the red line. It's not really a sword. The storyline is basically that as a woman was dying, she had been betrayed. She had had an affair with the chieftain and given birth to his bastard son. As she's dying, she is so angry about the state of her life that she curses the land and says, from this day forward, there will be no daughters in Stalker. So they go 20 years with no girls being born in this country. And lo and behold, after 2 decades, her son Bear finds a girl named Alba. She's the first girl child born in nearly 2 decades and will be the salvation of her country. Don't know how yet, but that's the description. There's things are about to go crazy. Coming chaos is the phrase used in the description. They're trying to battle enemies from without and enemies from within. They're falling in love. Of course, they're going to fall in love. Come on. So there's all of this, dark themes, trying to protect a child, because here's the problem. The king is threatened by this girl's existence. So he's trying to kill her. He's trying to kill Alba and get rid of her. So Bear has to protect her from the king. Scary content, dark themes, that definitely covers. Morally great character. From what I've read of the descriptions and what I've read online, there's more than a few of them in here that qualify as morally gray, people that are playing both ends against the middle to try to get ahead. So those 2 books, Sold and The First Girl Child, will take care of all of my Zodiacathon reads from the 19th to the 25th of March. Then there is the Royal Weekender. My favorite readathon to date has been the Bookie Trials hosted by Rachel Marie. I loved it. It was ridiculously well. I can't even imagine how many hours this woman put in to planning this. There were teams and there were contests and there were challenges. It was a month-long readathon back in the summer, and I absolutely loved everything about it. We had a short week-long readathon just to kind of bring everybody back together earlier this school year, and now we're doing a weekender event on the 28th and 29th. So I tried really, really hard to pick one book, just one, to get the 3 reading challenges in. Now what she's done is there are badges. Somebody has designed badges for this, and they're so cute. I will put the link to her YouTube down below, which has all of the stuff that you want. But there are 4 badges that everybody can earn. And then there are 4 badges that are team specific. Now, we've all had teams since we did the Bookie Trials back in the summer. Some people have chosen to jump teams. Some people have stayed with the same team the whole time. So I'm on Team Mage, been on Team Mage since I did the Bookie Trials. So we have 4 very specific badges for our team. She tried to have one, at least one is just about the book. One is about a self-care topic. One is about the book cover. And I don't remember what the 4th one is supposed to be. So every team has badges in those themes. The idea being that everybody can earn up to 8 badges, the 4 for your team, and then the 4 general badges that everybody can earn. And like one of those badges is declare your TBR, which I'm doing right here. So I'm going to earn that badge when I post this video. What do you know? But the graphics and the work that she puts in and has friends put in to making this happen is just super fun and makes it super exciting and makes it super engaging to participate in. Remember I said I won this package as a part of back in December. I have been fascinated with this book cover since I first saw it, and it literally fits all three of the book prompts for the Royal Weekender, and I'm so excited because I cannot wait. The three prompts that involve a book are expansive lore, find a book that introduces you to a new world. Anytime you go into a fantasy book that you've never read before, that's a new world. Clairvoyance, something that you predict might be 5 stars. I keep going. I have tried to fit this one in to every readathon I've done since I got it in January. And then the third one is Magi might find something with purple on the cover, and there is just enough purple for me to justify this. The book I'm reading for these 3 prompts is called Cambier, book 1 of the Fairy Concerto. Now, I'm a musician, so anytime you put a musical word like concerto in a book series, I'm in. Can we talk about the artwork on this? I love this cover. This is by Avery Ames. There is a princess whose brother falls deathly ill. He's going to die without intervention. She makes a deal with a fae to save her brother's life. The catch is she has to go live in the Unseelie court for a year. Her fairy master's name is Elian, and he's got all kinds of secrets that he's hiding that make him a little bit dangerous. But there's a quote on the back of the book that intrigues me that says, "There's something dark inside you, princess, and I'm afraid I'm setting it free." So Princess Sorel is not this sweet, innocent ingenue type princess. I get the impression that living in the Unseelie court for a year starts to kindle something in her that's a little darker than what she expected. So the question is she going to succumb to the lures of the fake court, or is she going to survive her year and go home? I'm super excited to read this. A little bit of purple right here on the cover. Obviously a new world. I've never been in this specific interpretation of Fae myth. And I'm super excited about the storyline. A princess who goes dark. I mean, nobody does that. And princesses are always sweet and innocent light, right? Throughout the course of the year, I'm also doing some year-long readathons. As I said, the Consabor Reading Challenge is a Latinx-based reading challenge, encouraging people to read more Latinx authors' own voices books. And frankly, it's probably one of the easiest readathons I've ever done because it's a book a month. And they don't even have books planned for September and October because there are Latinx readathons those months, and they would rather you put your energy into participating in those. So it's 9 months out of the year because they don't do December either. 9 months out of the year. It's 9 books to add to my readathon list over the course of a year. And so far, for both January and February, I found ways to fit those books into other readathons that I was doing, which is beautiful. The book for this month, one of the readathons I was doing, called for you to read a debut novel. Ta-da! So for March, you're supposed to read a fantasy book by a Latinx author. This one is historical fantasy based on Mexican folklore. The cover is gorgeous. I don't know much about it other than that, but I am all about mythology-based stories. I'm fairly well versed in the more well-known Roman and Greek mythologies. This delves into Mexican mythology, and I'm super excited for it. Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. That will be my fantasy read for the Consabor Reading Challenge in March. The other year-long that I'm doing is, this one starts up in March. Back in the books that started the Elderling along with some help from friends. Fantasy, which I love, good high fantasy. I've only recently gotten into high fantasy, though, I have to be honest. So this is a name that is still fairly new to me, and I've not read anything yet. So I love having the accountability of a readathon because it's an author who's been on my radar. I just haven't picked anything up yet. So we're going through the Robin Hobb books. Assassin's Apprentice is the book for March. There's one other year-long. Like I said, Rachel Marie introduced the Cosmere Long on her YouTube channel. And for that, we are reading an Assassin's Apprentice, by the way, I'll be grabbing from the library, as I will Gods of Jade and Shadow. The other one is already sitting over on my library shelf. I just didn't grab it. Elantris by Brandon Sanderson is the first book in the Cosmere Long series, and I will be reading that along with a couple of the short story novellas that go with that series that are the reads for the Cosmere Long for February and March. So that's where we are. It's kind of a shorter readathon month. It's kind of a shorter book list for the month of March, but I'm okay with that because we're getting into musical season, and so my time to read will be a little more limited when I have 9 hours of rehearsal a week from now till the middle of April when I rehearse like every night for 5 hours. So that's where we stand. I'd like to know what you're planning on doing for March. So if you want to share your own March TBRs down below, I will make sure to put the links to all of the readathons that I'm doing in the description below. Have a great day.